Hi, it's Corwhin, and it is the end of July. And at the end of July, a lot of things change in the gardens. Some things are ready, some things are done, and some things, the tasks we got to do, we can't put off anymore. And one of those tasks I can't put off anymore is harvesting garlic. The plant has started to die down, so I got to make sure that I harvest it and dry it. And the weather keeps changing. It was supposed to be raining today, and then now it's supposed to be raining tomorrow, and maybe raining Monday, and maybe raining all week. So it's just hard to make a decision of what to do and where to put your energy. Anyways, it's been a day of hoeing weeds. Can't put that off. Soon I'll have to get down on my hands and knees and do hand weeding, and whatever I can't do specifically with the hoe, get in there so I'm not hurting the plant. But I got to get garlic going. I got to get it started to get dried. I have potatoes, early potatoes, I guess I should work on. What else? There's lots of other things. But this video will be about garlic and what I'm working on. So I have decreased the number of areas that I've been growing garlic on because my customer base is decreasing, and I can only eat so much garlic with my family. And yeah, so I'm down to 2 growing plots, or 2 sections just growing garlic in, and we're going to show you them and a little story behind them. I planted them in October. The Blue Jays were in the World Series. I started in the afternoon, and it got much slower than I thought it was going to be, and I ended up getting to a bar to watch the game that a friend was working at kind of midway through the game. Listened to a fair bit of the game while I was planting, but I did get there. The bar was crowded. My friend was too busy to even notice I was there. But yeah, it was 2 things I really enjoy: baseball and working outside, and I got those together. I just unfortunately missed part of the game that I would love to have seen. Great World Series to the 7th game, extra innings decide in the 7th game, you know, who was going to win. This is one of my plots, and you can see I have colored construction flags, and that tells me what variety it is. That's very important. You wouldn't know it, but I had put manure on here, and then I'd cover that with 2 inches of leaf mulch. You would not know that because there's so many weeds in here. I don't know what I'm going to have to do to get the weed pressure down for the next crop that comes in here. But yeah, this is something I would have liked to start working on in the daylight. The sun has set, unfortunately. There were just so many things to do today. And this is the other section. So 3 rows, different colored flags, different varieties. There was a lightning bug. There it is right there. I don't know if you can see that. Anyways, about 130, 140 feet here of different varieties. So we're going to dig this out. This is a different soil type than the one about 60 feet behind me. Is a lot more sand in this plot right here. Looking at the garlic closer, you can see that it's yellowing. When about a third of the plant gets yellow, that's when you want to dig it up. I think this is a little more than a third. Hopefully the bulbs have not grown too big, because what can happen is the cloves can push them, all the other cloves apart, and the bulb isn't really sellable. It doesn't look nice. Anyway, down there you can sort of see the winter squash is starting to get its vines into there. Oh, there we go. There's a lightning bug. So when I clear this out, it's going to give a little more room for the squash to grow. Though I'm also thinking of doing a double crop or a second crop and put something in here, or just a cover crop for the winter. So I kind of want to go straight down with a fork, but I'm coming at it from a kind of a 45-degree angle. Just want to lift it and pull, and then I'm knocking off the soil. This is kind of clay soil. It's really sticking to it. Let's look at that. Just all sticking to it. So I'm not trying to damage the bulb, I'm just trying to knock off the soil. Soil is very valuable. If we don't have soil, we don't have stuff to grow, like the medium. Some people do it in greenhouses, but it's just not the same. It doesn't taste the same, in my opinion. There is times that I will come down too much in an angle, not straight down, and by accident, or I'll get too close, and then I will accidentally spear the bulb. So I can't give that one to customers. Oop, that one slipped out of my hands. So I'm just trying to give a lift. I'm not trying to totally get it out of the ground with the fork, but I'm pulling at the same time. See, look at the hairs on that. That is some healthy garlic. And unfortunately, you can't sell it like that. These will have to be all dried because they're all juicy right now with moisture because they haven't been alive, and just dried and cut them off so it's better presentation. Lots of root growing on that. Easy, just shaking like that. I don't have to bang it too hard. Soil's falling off because it's mostly, well, there's a large percentage of sand. I won't say it's mostly sand, but soil type really makes a difference. A lot of people in sandy soils, like around Norfolk County, Elgin County, they will grow a lot of vegetables because it's so easy for the roots to push through in sandy soils. And that's one of the reasons why those areas also used to have a lot of tobacco. Easy for the roots to push in, settle up, and reach for water and nutrients in the soil. So, still going on. About 2/3 done, and I'm running out of baskets, and I'm going to have to start doing some trucking everything about 700 meters, 800 meters back to the buildings where they're going to be in the barn drying, so that way they're out of the sun. They can be in the sun for a little bit. We'll talk about that a little later. And they can get rained on a little bit, but I want them to dry. I want them to cure so that they store better. So having it rain on a lot is kind of anti-productive. You can wash off some of the dirt with a bit of the rain, but yeah, eventually you don't need a lot of rain on them. I wouldn't even wash them. Eventually the dirt will dry and fall off. Here's what it looks like in daylight. Anyway, we just had 18 millimeters of rain. Wasn't really on the radar. And then suddenly this cloud appears. So anyways, they've got washed a bit. That's okay. You can see the other side, not so much. Anyways, it's gonna rain probably the next 3-4 days. So I'm gonna get these inside, but how I usually dry them out has changed. What I usually do is there's a hay wagon inside the barn, and barns are pretty airy places, and the hay wagon, it has a mesh floor, so air can get in at every which way to any of these baskets when I have them sitting on the hay wagon. Unfortunately, can't do that. I'll tell you why. So the hay wagons right now are being used kind of as a barrier, as a fence inside the barnyard until we put a fence up. We used to have a barn here. Anyway, two hay wagons, that's where they are. Used to have a barn here. That barn is now over there. Anyways, we had a young guy from an insurance company decide that, we need to take it down or he was going to take our insurance coverage away. It was an 1850s barn, had a slight lean to it. And yeah, I guess he liked harassing elderly people. And eventually we had to knock it down. So right now, until we put a fence up, that's what the hay wagons are going to do. So I'm having to think how I'm going to dry all this garlic in a way that air can get up from the bottom and all different sides. I'm probably going to have to do it in the lower section where we had our tie stalls. I got a lot of cleaning to do with all the stuff in my pots. I got all kinds of pots here, everything to clean. So, coming up with an idea. It's not going to be the best idea. But until I get a better one, this is what I'm going to do. And I'll come back in about half an hour because it's going to take me a little bit to move everything down to the main floor here, the ground floor of the barn. Okay, this is my solution. So the gutter runs underneath there. Bench. This is where, when we had tie stalls here, the cows would defecate and urinate, and the track system would just pull that out, and then we spread it on the fields, which is the best thing you can do. Anyways, it'll drip down there for a little bit because it's wet. Air hopefully will get in. There's no airflow from outside, so there's no wind gonna get to it, so it's gonna probably take a little longer to dry. It's not in direct sunlight. This will have to do. There's a lot of green on here, my goodness. But for the most part, I got the bulbs in time. Where's blue? Blue, this is French Rocambole. I don't grow it too much because what's happened in the past is that it will do this. It will just start growing too fast or too much before anyone else and just start pushing away. All the cloves inside will be pushed one another away, and then I can't really do anything with it. Also, it grows really, really small compared to the other ones. What do we got here? Green. I think it was wrong. It's not red Rocambole. Green is Russian music, I think. It's Russian something. Anyway, nice big bulbs there. This is yellow, so that is Persian Star. So there'll be a row of cloves here and a row of cloves in the middle. Very, very small ones. This is Chestnut Red. Decent one. And pink is Leningrad. Leningrad, I find, is pretty good for storage. Some of these will just go soft or dry out. And got some big bulbs there. That's what I want. The big bulbs I'll be keeping, and I'll replant them because they have the genetics I want. Is that all the different varieties? I think it is. Let's pick up a bulb, trimming that, and about an inch above there. Something to grab anyways. I don't know if maybe I can change the camera angle a bit. Yeah, this should be coming off a lot easier. One, my shears are not the sharpest. So that's what we're looking at. You can see a bit of the moisture in there still, and that will be. So I want it to dry out. I don't want this to chip right here and get into where all the different cloves are attached loosely at the points. They're much tighter down here. So you leave a little bit of the stem there. Something to grab, something to rub against. Okay, it's probably a handful of days later, chronically going on this. I'm now my last couple of bulbs here that I'm cutting off. Not happy with a lot of this. The drying that they were doing in the ground floor level of the barn here, where the tie stalls are. We used to milk cows. Just hasn't been, apparently, from what I'm seeing, a great experience for them for drying. Yeah, seeing a lot of juice coming out, or just feeling it anyways, in the stalks. Cutting that, you can't really see that too well, but that's still pretty juicy. was hoping to have this a lot drier. Really dulling the blades. I'm onto my second set of shears right now. The other ones are just too dulls. This is the second 10 square foot wheelbarrow that I've been filling up with all this refuse. I'll just put this in the compost pile. Yeah, it's not cutting as much anymore. Anyway, okay, that's it. So, what happens when garlic doesn't dry fast enough and the bulbs stay wet? Well, as I think maybe I showed you earlier, they're doing this. They're starting to sprout. So it looks like that's what's happening. I don't know if it was damaged or not when I hit it. There's a little bit of mold there. We won't be selling that. This one here, you can see the sprout happening there, pushing out this clove. You can see the cloves here pushing one another apart. Obviously, it kept growing. And you can see a couple, at least one sprout there. Can't sell that. Another one there. I got a bunch of examples of these. So I've never had this happen before, as I guess I've always just been lucky. But when I guess I had all this material, this biomass, trying to dry that out with the garlic, because I needed this to get dry so I can cut it, as I'm finding out dulling the blades here. Cuts a lot better when it's dry. And I don't think I got to cut it much sooner, but somehow I needed to dry it better. So I'm leaving the bulbs, now that they're trimmed, just out in the sun for half a day. Get a little bit of moisture off them. The thing is, you don't want to leave them in the sun for too long, as they will start going green, and then you can't sell them. I've done that by accident a couple times. So maybe today, maybe tomorrow, just get a little bit of extra moisture dried off them. After about 2 afternoons having these guys outside, these bulbs anyways, outside to dry a little, they look a lot better. You can see in some cases the little overlaps are starting to pull away. No, this isn't about you. You're starting to pull away, so they're drying. You can see that. Anyway, you can see a little hollowness there. They're little fibers, little layers, skins, whatever you want to call them, and the stems pulling away. That means they're drying quite nicely. And what I'm starting to do is combine them by the flag color, which means just the variety type it is. Pink is Leningrad. And this one's Russian music, because that's green. Anyways, I will eventually combine them more and more and more. So that's just the cats. So that I can keep them all together. And I'm not using as many crates, because when it comes to harvesting squash and the rest of potatoes, I'm going to need all the crates I possibly can. But, so I just got them drying, or just in here. Yeah, got some potatoes anyways going. So things are going okay. I don't see any more sprouting happening. Hey, how's my pussycat? Yeah? How's my pussycat? Yeah, you curious? Anyway, they're not used to seeing me talk to myself. They're still pretty new. So that's the video on what I do with garlic. Eventually, I will bring them into the house, and that's what they'll be for the cool periods anyways. We can't eat all of them. I try to have garlic as much as I can in the weekly shares. And then I'll do winter CSA probably as well again this year, because it went so well the last 2 years, and I'll include garlic in that. I have decreased the amount of garlic. What are you doing? I have decreased the amount of garlic that I have grown, because I'm just cutting back slowly. Not as many customers, and the workload is just a lot. So working on farm, off farm, and volunteering. So I think this will be enough garlic for all my customers, and then some for my family as well, because you got to eat your own product. You got to know what you're giving your customers. Hey, puss. You got to know what you're giving your own customers, and you got to eat that, and you got to make sure that you understand what you're giving out and the taste of it and how to use it. So that's the video. So thank you for watching, and remember, finish your vegetables, buy something local, be good to each other. We'll see you next video.